counterpicked. He got solo killed by Castle. Even though he did have a really big advantage, he kind of threw it away with that lazy recall, got killed on by Castle under his tower. And I want to see if Impact can stabilize things, because if Castle isn't getting a big lead, you do feel like it's going to be a lot harder for DSG.
Absolutely. I'd say, to me, both of the first two games, with how evenly matched these teams are, were kind of decided by draft. The draft that we favored ended up winning both games. Game one was the 1-2-3 blind pick, essentially, of Ezreal, Karma, and Orianna. And then just the raw scaling that DSG had last game with the Mundo Cassiopeia, as well as being able to fight against the pretty early game pair of Nocturne Ahri, worked out pretty well.
Xin is up and available, not banned, and a lot of these AD junglers have been worked through, so wouldn't be surprised to see that. Rumble also going to be available, but Galio is unbanned, even though it has received second phase bans last game. So both teams kind of thinking through the options. Vi, Xin, Rumble, Galio. Where do you want to go?
Looks like they've locked in the Vi, so prioritizing HamBak, having a high amount of agency for this game. He's been having a great series, even though KryRa won player of the game. It wasn't because he was gapping the Nocturne. It was because of the scaling of the Mundo. HamBak has made so much happen on Skarner and Nocturne so far, so I understand prioritizing his pick, especially with Galio being up. The Rumble priority drops a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Definitely does. There's always the option, occasionally you'll see teams just take both away and say, all right, we took the counter too. But then you are blinding your Galio, or have to be willing to be a little bit more creative. I would be expecting the Xin, though, to come through. I do think it's still so powerful, and you can kind of just go a pretty standard 1-2 here. Even if Impact goes for the Galio, it's not so much a counter as it is like an answer. It's more of a neutralizer. And so Castle can still go first strike and farm gold.
I could also see Impact taking Ornn and being fine.
Yeah.
So he's still got options, even if they dropped him to 4-5. So I actually think Sentinels has a pretty important choice to make here. If they want to just lock in a powerful bottom lane they still feel like is left, the Lulu and Seraphine were both banned. So things like Yunara Lulu or Ashe Seraphine, they can't pair, which then makes them go down and just pick the Galio, and they'll pair something else with Yunara.
Yep, so they are going to be grabbing Yunara here. They already have some really good engage with the Galio as well as the Vi, where DSG does kind of need some of that. So the question is, are they going to match picks here? Are they going to go a different direction? You can, of course, just grab your own AD carry, knowing that it's going to be Yunara on the other side, or you could grab powerful engage support, something along those lines, if you so choose. But it is going to be the matching of AD carries, I think, here. Kai'Sa, to me, was Sajed's best champion by a lot. Oh, no, it's not actually going to get locked in. It's going to be the Yone. So very interesting. So they are going to go grab Yone, and then they have multiple protection bans to be able to try to make things a little bit more difficult.
Really aggressive here. Aggressive drafting by DSG.
It's a great combo.
Picking the Yone this early. Yes, it's a good combo, Rumble Yone, but they kind of know that DARKWINGS is a control mage player, and they probably feel comfortable with this stage of Fearless, playing it into any of his picks, not to mention they can ban Annie. Maybe Victor would be the next ban, because I can imagine DARKWINGS finding a way to neutralize this with Victor a bit.
Yeah, you're thinking about things like Victor, about Hui, about, champions along those lines that he does like to go towards. Syndra is another pick, so he almost always stays within that realm, and I think they're just saying, Annie is a problem. The rest, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Yone is pretty good into a lot of these matchups. You just survive early, and then you can become quite powerful later. But with the Kai'Sa not being grabbed in the first round, it will not be able to be available. In the second round, they're going to take away both the Kai'Sa and the Xayah, expecting that it is such a strong answer to Vi Galio. So when you're thinking about other safe picks, you can, again, go towards the Jhin. That's always a common one that people do, just kind of stay far back. There also are some kind of less common answers that people will go towards. Sometimes they're just going to play things like, oh, okay, I'll just play MF and just stand and ult over the top or whatever.
Yeah. I was going to say that if they want to dominate lane, they'd pick something with Caitlyn, but once you pick Alistar, your chances of dominating lane go down drastically.
Yeah.
That's definitely something that plays towards the solo lanes, which is understandable with the state of the series so far and how much success Castle and Callme have had in lane.
And it's so interesting, too, because they clearly have a conditional pick here for AD carry, because they're going AD carry on 5. That is very uncommon. But now they see there is a Rakan, not obviously a super strong laner either. They could try to pick for winning 2v2 if they want to go for one of those angles. Like you said, you can go for things like Caitlyn, but of course it can be difficult to survive the potential dive. Rakan, Galio,
it's just Jhin. It's just
feel
gotta
like
be Jhin.
Jhin makes sense to me just because you need to kind of stay safe, have some sort of value. But, you can go more aggressive options if you feel confident.
Yeah, there's so much go in, and Jhin Rumble, Jhin Yone have always been really potent combos. And it's
Oh!
Vayne. Oh my god.
Okay, well this is crazy.
Oh my
I mean,
god.
Vayne in some ways can survive, but the problem is there's so much point and click, and Rakan ult hits you whether you're stealth or not. Vi ult, you can't outplay with a tumble. Like, that thing is following you no matter what. And then when you get hit by the Vi ult, the Galio ult's coming over the top. All these combos are coming through, and it is going to be the Smolder here. So are they going to swap the Yone to top lane for Castle? So now it becomes a bit of a mind game, right? Of are they going to move things around?
Crazy.
And the question on my mind is, were they going to do that? It looks like they will not.
They swap it back. It's at 20 seconds. This means Yone's mid, Rumble's top. But both teams just threw down at the end of this draft, for sure. Game 3 of Fearless, the 11th game they've played against each other this year. They're 5-5, and they decide to play this decider with Vayne 5th pick, and then also a Smolder mid into the Yone. My goodness.
Yeah, and this is famously the matchup that FlyQuest against Gen G in Game 5, I believe they played.
In 2024, absolutely. It was, in that case, though, it was Smolder Ziggs, and they were able to, with Ziggs bot, and they were able to really just stall out the game. Not to mention, the 225 stacks back then was much more powerful on Smolder. Smolder was much more of a threshold champion back then. But now, I really just want to see if Sajed is able to throw down on this thing, because it's 2 games in a row now where we have felt like the compositional play would be to stay back and support the solo laners. Even on Varus, he could have gone poke Varus instead of getting Dove, and now he could have gone Jhin with so much dive, and instead decides to just get in there with the team on the Vayne. Definitely a very risky pick.
I mean, the big question to me is, will he be able to survive the dive, right? Or maybe he's thinking, my team will be so aggressive, they will be putting them on the back foot.
He can just chase in with
Exactly,
Night
maybe
Hunter.
just chase in. But I just feel like Rakan Galio is going to be so strong against the composition that DSG have. When you're looking at 4 melee champs and then a Vayne who's relatively short range, it is so easy to land these multi-man charms. And we'll see how Callme can handle this 1v1 in mid lane. Because yes, Smolder does have scaling, but a lot of the power has been moved more towards the early game over the patches. You talked about the nerf to the 225, how powerful that is.
Yeah.
And the execute threshold no longer scales, has been like that for a very long time. So the scaling is a lot weaker, but the early game is a lot stronger. And the problem with this matchup is, not only can you get bullied because it's range versus melee, but you can't avoid getting stacked on. So you can really accelerate in this matchup, because every time you step forward, you're going to get queued by the Smolder. You're giving over free stacks, and when you hit a fast 25, it really accelerates you to 125, and that really accelerates you to the 225. So we'll see how DARKWINGS can do.
Looking forward to seeing if he can bully this lane, because we definitely have this archetype of DARKWINGS that he's this scaling mage player who's just kind of trying to survive while maybe HamBak does something crazy with huhi, and they've been playing around bot side. But now they have an opportunity to maybe have DARKWINGS get babysat a little bit if he's able to put the Yone down. Because if they can keep Yone out of this game, the win condition's really narrow for DSG.
I mean, Callme still has his potion, but he is getting very low here already. Of course, he has teleport. Really, he's trying to survive to be able to get this wave. You definitely want to get the cannon. You want to be able to have a reasonable buy.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is the problem, is it's just kind of all about survival. And, you know, DARKWINGS is going to be able to start working on this first plate. And as soon as you go for any of these range minions, you will be eating a free Q, a free W.
Yeah.
And that's what's tough about this matchup.
It's the stacking. I doubt Callme will die, famous last words, but with second wind, Dorn Shield, and Fleet, not to mention the short lane for frequent recalls, I feel like he's going to be able to survive, and it's just about maximizing the CS.
Yep, but he does pop the potion now, finally, and DARKWINGS up to 13 stacks, but is going to go with the Soul Unbound and try to get a trade back, and this is really your only option, and is to try to look for these aggressive trades, try to chunk them out, but Callme in some trouble. And this is the updated year-long series. The first game, the first series that they had was 2-1 to DSG. The second series was 3-2 to Sentinels. And then, of course, they are 1-1 here in this series, bringing the total game score to 5-5. So just dead even between these two teams as KryRa comes through. And we'll be able to delay the recall there of DARKWINGS, but they're going to look for a potential little engage as HamBak goes forward. But down comes the Galio now, and KryRa's just going to flash on a DARKWINGS. In comes Callme with the Soul Unbound, looking to get some damage down. Impact faster on the roam, flashes forward with the Justice Punch. There is the taunt. Castle flashing in as well. HamBak falls for first blood. KryRa's getting some healing down. Impact has no damage. DSG out to a 2-0 lead.
It's been a while since we've seen a first crab flip a game, but we may have just seen it again. full stack Conqueror on the Xin. Triumph proc after another, stays alive, and the bot lane's all in at the same time.
Sajed procs another silver bolts there. Rahel incredibly low, even through the barrier. Had the condemn in the wall, had the lethal tempo stack. He flashes in, great flash back from Rahel, or he would have been dead to rights. Lyonz wanted the kill. Rahel equal to the task. Still, good job by DSG being able to get this aggressive move because they were actually down quite a bit in farm, especially once this wave is gone.
There's no barrier,
They're going to try to look for it. He has the angle for the condemn. He gets him into the wall. He gets the kill in the 2v2, and now huhi's in a lot of trouble as well. It's a double for the Vayne. You lose to Alistar. Who cares? 4-1 in a 1K lead at 4 minutes for DSG.
Sajed Vayne gets the 2v2 double kill. What I love about these teams in DSG is they are not afraid to hands check. Look at the gusto of this play here. Flashing in for the Q3 out of DARKWINGS, and that's after Callme had already taken the aggressive trade, and then, even though Impact is first, they just continue fighting. Nobody abandons the fight. Callme stays close, Castle burns him down, Triumph proc comes in from KryRa, gets the passive heal from the Xin, and ends up picking up the second kill.
We're back to live. KryRa here fighting again. Smolder's gonna get knocked up and might just be getting knocked down. KryRa grabs a kill as DARKWINGS will fall. He escaped in the last fight, won't be so lucky this time, and now the wheels feel like they're starting to fall off for Sentinels.
They really do, losing control of both rivers. KryRa making a move over. Gotta be careful not to get too aggressive, but they're all sitting at full health in the bot lane.
I mean, one of the craziest parts about this 2v2 kill is you're now down 4 sums on the side of Sentinels, and you didn't even get a single summoner off of the Vayne here as they're going to re-engage here on a huhi, and huhi is incredibly low, does get back to the tower. In comes HamBak, but they know they cannot really look for an aggressive play, and the wave is being frozen on them, so even though they are down quite a bit of CS, Sajed is trying to hold this wave and make things very difficult for Rahel, because if you overstep, there's Hex Flash available on Lyonz, we'll call that half a summoner, and you have both available on the Vayne.
And still in level 6 for Rahel, so doesn't have a good way of avoiding Sajed. Kind of faking that he's recalled right now, actually. He's been in the bush for about 10 seconds as DSG continue to punish the soul lanes.
Callme looking for this all in here. DARKWINGS has no flash. The soul unbound comes through. The knockup does connect. Mom comes down for a heal, but KryRa looking for a play on the bot side as Callme claims a solo bolo in the counter matchup in the mid lane.
And this is why DSG picked Yone blind, because they were confident that whatever DARKWINGS throws against him, he's going to be able to perform. Got a huge amount of help from that top scuttle fight, but knowing that DARKWINGS was down flash and he hit level 6, he could just all in. Not to mention, they have full information because of how aggressive KryRa has been playing. He's been fully evading the bot jungle. There was no threat of HamBak ganking there on Vi, and they are really playing this game aggressively.
Yeah, and as much as things can go well for Smolder, if you get ahead, you're constantly chunking out this Yone, putting him back to base over and over and over. When you get this gold injection, you have early attack speed, early Vamp Scepter, all of a sudden you can't really punish him anymore, and then he's the one threatening you for all-ins, just like he did there. His Lyonz going to be going up to the top side. He has the Hex Flash. I don't even think he needs to use it. Impact's just going to get comboed. He's going to tank it up. Castle is going to be able to grab the kill. Style points with the equalizer. Callme will get shut down by HamBak in mid lane though, so Sentinels showing some signs of life. Do get one back.
Yeah, the kill will end up going over to the Vi, so he's going to need to snowball a little bit. Would have loved to have that go over to DARKWINGS. Crazy by Lyonz there. He could have killed with the auto, but instead wanted to give the kill to the Rumble with the ultimate. I think the cooldown's low enough that'll end up being effective for DSG.
They're behind him.
DARKWINGS has made a nice roam here. They can send 4 pretty easily.
Yeah, huhi is not 6 though, so the engage not that powerful. And it's going to be easily stopped there by Lyonz. You shall not pass.
Look at this early game though. 5 gold leads for the team. Watching the dive one more time. HamBak in fog until this moment, and by that point it's too late with no flash on the Yone. So a really nice executed lane gank there to get the shutdown gold onto the Yone.
Yep, good kill there on a DARKWINGS. And a bit frustrated, obviously. DARKWINGS didn't get the kill, excuse me.
Yeah.
The fact that Vi picked it up, you can see he's a little bit frustrated, even though they were able to knock down Callme. Knows he's not in the easiest spot, and when you fall behind in these kind of matchups, Yone just constantly is going to threaten the all-in, and you feel scared to walk up for really much of anything. So we'll see if DARKWINGS can kind of stabilize and just continue trying to scale.
Yeah, sitting at 66 stacks, this lane is definitely not going how he wanted it to. You want to be able to hit those breakpoints really early, start poking, stacking on him for free. Now he's just fearful of the all-in at every single moment.
He really is. Sajed, slight gold lead off of the back of those 2 kills that he was able to grab early on. But they're not out of the woods just yet. Of course, it is very difficult to play Vayne against teams with a lot of point-and-click CC. Yes, you have the ability to outplay, to pop the final hour, to go invis, and to try to outplay, but when you just get point-and-click Vi-ulted into a charm, into a taunt, there's sometimes not much you really can do. So we'll see how he's going to be able to start up these fights, and if his team can kind of create enough chaos where they're the ones engaging, and that gives them the freedom to fight. Yeah,
the weird thing is, though, they really do have to scale it, right? Like the Smolder Yunara, they need a lot of items to end up being effective. And with this Vayne pick, as much as it felt weird, I'm thinking about how Yunara does get advantages on a lot of other carries. It's like when you're level 6 and you're in a 1v1, a lot of times you can just press R and you run the other guy down. I think if Vayne presses final hour at the same time, it's a wash, and maybe even in favor of Vayne. So for the 1v1 and for certain parts of the laning phase, Sajed's going to be quite comfortable, even if the team comp and the team fights seem hard to play.
Yeah, we'll see if he's going to be able to make that happen. Famously, one of the weaknesses of Vayne is always the wave clear. You know, you have very little wave clear, so that can be difficult. But KryRa is here and has not been spotted. HamBak hanging around as well, so potential for a 3v3 to break out. Both supports are now level 6. And HamBak has his ulti back up and available, going to face check KryRa, but they could actually look to turn on him. KryRa going to go for the engage, flash forward there from Lyonz, but the TP is coming in immediately from Callme. Smolder cannot stop that TP, so here's the Yone, and Sentinels are in trouble. Sajed gets another kill. The second one goes to KryRa, and DSG are up 9-2 with 10 minutes into the game.
DSG is just completely running this game, even though it looked like maybe they were going to be able to catch the Zen. That TP was instant, and the Sundered Sky from KryRa, the MasterCard Power Spike, crucial in that fight. But everything for them is dominant. The fact that they have that bot turret just consistently pushed in whenever they need to with the Vayne Alistar bot lane tells us enough about how this game is going.
Absolutely does, and here it is one more time. I mean, just instant commitment on that engage as soon as KryRa was revealed.
Yeah, so huhi and Rahel completely caught out. No way Smolder. I mean, Smolder's probably pretty happy in the short term. He's like, ooh, the Yone is gone. I can get a couple minions
My bot lane died. Great.
Oh, no. Now it's over. Now we lose.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Smolder can't do anything to stop the TP, so that's why Callme was able to react so quickly. When you think about a lot of the meta mid laners, most of them can stop TP in some way. You know, Victor can ult and cancel your channel. You can get Shockwave. You can get Gravity Field. You can get Scattered. You can get, you know, Azir ulted. There's like a million ways to stop it. Smolder has none. So all Smolder can do is just hit the person who is TPing in his face, as Lyonz will be sent backing up here. But still, Sentinels does have really strong scaling. The question is, can you realistically get there? I mean, you're already down almost 4K, and it's not even 12 minutes.
They really are not. And KryRa plus Sajed can run the game. On top of that, Castle has just one lane the whole series. It's been completely one-sided in the top lane. So they'll have easy push top lane whenever they need to. Callme can push and roam. I think they need to make sure they don't overplay and know they have, like DSG needs to just realize they have a big lead, stack the dragons, and make sure that they are eventually accelerating the game in an organic fashion, since you could say, like, maybe there's too many melees, maybe it'll be hard for them to close if they let the game go too late, but right now they're in a perfect position.
Yep, they're in a great spot here, as Callme can't quite find DARKWINGS with the knock-up, so we'll just have to settle for that dragon that they're grabbing. Lyonz laying a trap there for huhi, as Sajed potentially going to look for the engage, has already completed his Kraken's Lair, and is going to be going for a pretty high damage build here on the Vayne. Not looking for an early Bork or anything like that. You know, this build is really punishing, and obviously good synergy with the Silver Bolts. Kraken is, you know, every third hit as well, so it's kind of just doubling down on the extra damage.
Yeah, this is another amazing series that Sajed is having against Sentinels. His breakout series in the LCS was really the first one he played, which was against Sentinels, having clutch team fights. And I just feel like pulling out the Vayne in this situation, getting the 2v2 kill, and now having so much of the game revolve around bot lane is just an incredible performance.
Yep, and back to the same kind of fight we had before. HamBak uses both charges of Sweep Burst, finds out that the second brush was warded, but KryRa was in the area covering for him as well. Castle up 1.5k in the top lane. I mean, he got some kills off of that early play when he roamed down, so that obviously made things a lot harder. But as you said earlier, he's just been dominating, impacting the 1v1. That has been the biggest gap, it feels like, in the lanes by far. And Castle continuing that, it's just going to be tough. I mean, every fight, you either just engage on Darkwings or Rahel, Equalizer is on your head, Yone ult is coming through. You know, it's going to be a lot of chaos for these AD carries.
Yeah, and I'd say 4 minutes and 30 seconds into this game, DSG won these advantages, and it's been a lot of execution since then, because the top lane skirmish, they get a double kill in a 3v3, that gets all of the solo laners ahead. A minute later, their bot lane gets a 2v2 double kill. So they won the whole map by that point, and then it makes Sentinels have to make these funny plays to try and get back in it.
Callme gonna pop the ulti, just try to run away, but it's blocked there by HamBak, and that is more than enough CC to knock down the Yone. Rahel not the one to grab the kill, though. HamBak does claim another one for himself.
Yeah, HamBak, you need to make sure you secure the kill. The team needs to secure the kill, but they're getting a little bit unlucky with these kills going directly over to their Vi. I'd say DSG was a little bit sloppy in parts of game 2, so Sentinels is in a similar situation here where they just have to be really creative, make the game as hard as possible, and really just pick off these solo laners. I think it's a little bit difficult to try to do any type of 5v5 team fighting, but HamBak has found 2 picks so far and needs to try and find more miracles.
Has to keep looking for him. The difficulty is always that KryRa has been doing a good job tracking him too, right? You know, HamBak was constantly in those bot lane brushes. KryRa always seemed to be there behind him. And you know that you need to look for these aggressive plays, but if the jungler is there, you're probably going to lose the even numbers fight. So we'll see if they can find that perfect engage, that perfect CC to try to turn things around as GSG do move up towards that top side to grab themselves a Herald.
Should be an uncontested Herald. Now it's just about making sure they don't get punished on the other side of the map. You can see HamBak again looking for Callme. Sneakily jumps over the wall. Doesn't look like he's on vision.
Yeah, and he is going to be getting the bad news here, but DARKWINGS has pushed back so far. I don't know if he's even going to be able to need to use his flash here, but now in comes huhi and Rahel. Lyonz here to cover. Flash force there by Callme, but that is 4 members bot for an HP disadvantage on the trade, and a trade of flashes.
And this gives such a long turn for DSG. What are they going to do with it? Vayne free hitting the turret in mid. KryRa looking to invade jungle camps, and Lyonz just wasting even more time.
That's going to be the first tower of the game, going over to the Vayne, who's going to be able to pick up all of this gold as KryRa even takes away the Gromp. Sentinels sent so many members down there. Callme's back to full HP. Well, DARKWINGS has to go back to base. And look at that gold injection there for sajed, who was already ahead. They're trying to look for more now on this bot side. TP's coming in. Impact is way behind them, but doesn't even matter because all of DSG is here, and they're just looking to engage on the other side. Impact gets pinged out. He's got to run for it. He could actually just be dead. They know he's there.
They suspect he's there.
There's
no one's going to check.
Pings.
They're not going to waste their push to go chase him, and they're still trying to keep the pressure up in this bottom lane. KryRa just marking the Vi.
Lyonz just flashes over the engage. In comes the equalizer, but now comes the hero's entrance. Callme trying to chase HamBak on the side, but it's Rahel who's in more trouble as KryRa goes in for the engage. Callme is back. The knockup is there. Rahel flashes. He heals. He barely survives for now. Impact gonna have to flash back here as well. sajed gonna pop the final hour, tumbling forward, looking for more. Can he find the angle to try to get Rahel? He knocks him down. Even with the taunt from Impact, can't keep their AD carry safe.
Objective bounties are on because this game is beginning to get out of hand. An extremely long and drawn-out play in the bottom lane here is likely going to result in most of the bot lane turret. Impact probably going to clear this out, and now everyone on DSG redeploys. They are absolutely fearless, Azael, with the way they attack.
You gotta love it. I mean, they are confident. They know that they are playing from a position of power, and they're just gonna force the hand of their opponents at every turn. KryRa is just flying in on every single fight. I mean, Lyonz is flashing over the engage to engage himself. DARKWINGS has TP'd down to bot, but
Smolder flank?
There's a responding TP. I mean, Sentinels, you gotta give them credit. They're still trying to look for plays, but DSG are ready and feel like they have numbers at every turn.
Yeah, now that the TP has been matched by Castle, DSG just will naturally start this Drake. They can probably even babysit this wave and pick up the bottom turret. No way Sentinels is matching this play. You can see Yunara Vi on the top side of the jungle, just trying to scrounge up whatever farm they can. But for a game 1 and 2 that were very close, this game 3 is definitely the most one-sided.
Yeah, it is extremely one-sided. And even though they do have good dive, you know, to try to maybe punish this missing flash from sajed, The follow-up is tough. You know, when so many of these members are so far behind, you don't necessarily have the damage to just burst them down without the AD carries hitting, and the chance of the AD carries being able to get past these super fed members on DSG are very, very low to punish the Jed.
Yeah, Sentinels has got to be very disappointed with how this game has played out so far. The Smolder falling so far behind has really unlocked the Yone, and then the biggest thing is just this Vayne being 4-0 has to kind of blow. It's blowing my mind a little bit that Rahel is 2.2 thousand gold down against him.
KryRa hid that whole time. They're going to try to look for a setup on the dive, but now he reveals himself. The equalizer was used defensively, and Impact pushed back. That was a good job by KryRa. He was just kind of dancing in and out of the brush as huhi stepped forward to hide that he was around. Doesn't end up amounting to too much, but still a nice play. I feel like KryRa has just been everywhere he needs to be this entire game.
He really has, taking the end of that Mundo game as sajed has barrier, but
no flash. He does have a great condemn back onto huhi, but it just doesn't even matter. Exhausted, charmed, knocked down here. HamBak will survive the final turret shot. But again, HamBak is the one that gets the kill every single time. Has to be frustrating for the AD carries, but in a play like that, you can't blame him. You have to secure the kill.
If he tries to give the kill to someone else, he dies, and you just backfired your 3-man gank, but finds another pick. Their time is running out, though. 3 minutes and 30 seconds until the Soul is going to be coming up. Baron being up now, so if one of those plays goes sideways, Yone Vayne will kill the Baron very quickly. Still a big fan of the way HamBak's played this whole series. I feel like he's found ways to be effective in all 3 of these games. It's just the early laning went so sideways this time for Sentinels.
Yeah, I feel like both junglers have actually played quite well throughout the series. So it has been fun to watch 2 of the new junglers this year in the LCS doing well. KryRa, obviously, you know, a young NA jungler here, and has been doing well. I mean, the team was built around him. You know, when I actually talked to DSG, that was the intended starter, of course, as they're going to look for an engage here onto HamBak, who is getting focused down. The Crescent Guard is popped, and Callme claims the kill. The TP comes in, and that means there is no recourse for Sentinels. They just have to accept jungler is gone. Yone grabs another kill.
When you're strong and you know it, you just fight. That was a 2v3 that they just flew into, and now they start up the Baron knowing other team has no smite. But they're not showing. They are on a ward as well. It just seems so impossible to move into the space.
Yeah, I mean, Smolder's bot, they're not even going to try. Yunara's mid, Smolder's bot, you have no damage, and Impact maybe can't even push out the top wave. Is going to be tough. It's going to be pushed back here by Lyonz, and now the ulti has to be popped defensively there from huhi. He's trying to keep his top laner alive. Can't even do it. They kill your top laner who's pushing out the lane as they're taking Baron. It's a 6K gold lead at 21 minutes. And DSG have just been getting better every single game.
Yeah, that was just rude, what DSG did. That whole sequence was just rude. You think you have your Krugs, you don't have your Krugs. We're taking Baron, you think you can get waves? Those are our waves. They are distributing their plentiful resources very efficiently and snowballing this game well.
They really are. And remember, if you don't have your tickets yet, they're still available for tomorrow's games. The tailgate is going to be happening as well. Come get some free boba, some free coffee, hang out with the squads, buy yourself some merch, and then watch some LCS as Sentinels maybe their last hurrah here. Double TP towards top, but it's just a Baron recall. Castle's already gone.
First game up tomorrow, Team Liquid versus FlyQuest. We need to see if the best scrim team in the LCS cannot look completely average on stage. We need to see if they can pull it off, or if FlyQuest can reverse their trajectory from the end of the lock-in tournament where they lost consecutively to Blabber, and Inspired. So really interesting first matchup tomorrow, as DSG is really just dotting their I's, crossing their T's, and trying to end this series.
Yep, Castle pushing back HamBak, and Impact chunked low as well. And yeah, it looks like DSG, they are fully in the driver's seat on this one. 30 seconds until a soul spawn. This will be, you know, a 23-minute soul, incredibly fast. And it's hard to imagine a world in which Sentinels can even get over there to try to contest. If you're looking across the board at the item completions, it's so much better over on the side of DSG. DARKWINGS has knocked down a couple of towers, has got some objective bounties. You know, on the bot side, he got one on the top side as well. So getting some gold there for the Smolder. And we'll see if he has his second item completion off the back of that. But even if he does, I just don't know. I mean, Callme, KryRa, Castle, and sajed are all super farmed.
Yeah, and we haven't even really had an opportunity to see a team fight. I'd say every fight in this game has just been a skirmish. Part of that is because the lanes have been so well played, because KryRa has just been really effective at getting deep vision, and they're finding so many opportunities to play around this Yone, right? It's tricky when everyone's having these amazing games. Their kill participations are going to look low, like, oh, wow, this 7 kill participation of 12 jungler. Couldn't you be more involved? But it's just because so many players are just winning 2v2s and 1v1s on different parts of the map.
That's absolutely true. And so there's definitely a first world problem for the jungler. Yeah. I just can't get enough KP because all my solo laners keep solo killing them.
My stats are too low.
It's so problematic. As DSG have the Baron, have the Soul, it was uncontested as expected. And Sentinels just going to pray that the game can get delayed and delayed and delayed, and that maybe this double AD carry comp can carry through in the super late game. But at this point, you're hoping that this game can go 20, 30 more minutes to really kind of reach the promised land. And even then,
I mean,
it's hard to know if it's going to be enough.
It was such a fast Soul, it would set us up for a sub 30-minute Elder, if that's what DSG wants. So they've done a very good job accelerating this game, not letting the Dragons sit around for too long. It does seem like, though, that with Baron buff subsiding and with Sentinels kind of accepting their fate here, now Smolder can finally farm. He's at 235, so he got into that 225 threshold. They can maybe hope to contest Elder, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely try. I think it's worth a shot, and at least the Baron is kind of split on the spawn timer from the Elder, but they could delay the Baron if they want to just try to get both at once. And if you get both at once, I don't think that they really can do anything to wait for their or to fight you. So we'll see if DSG does look to do that. And Rahel just trying to get towards that Infinity Edge. When he has 3 items with the IE, he will have a lot of damage. And again, if you can find that perfect engage, maybe you can try to one-shot this Vayne or one-shot the Yone with some CC and turn it around in that way. But the problem is there's just so many threats, right? Even if you kill off one, you probably commit everything to do it, and then you're probably getting destroyed by the Xin and the Rumble that you're trying to fight through.
Very likely. So normally I'd say try and pick off Callme, because that's the thing that's been the most effective in this game. But I remember the last time they tried to do that, it was a 2v4. And they were completely effective at repelling it. So 7,000 gold lead with the Chemtech Soul. How can we caster curse this moment a little bit more? Because this really does feel like it's done and dusted for DSG.
Yeah, I mean,
but they haven't even broken an inhibitor yet, and they're all short range. So there's a way you mess this up. If they walk in...
5-man quickness from huhi into the 5-man Galio taunt.
Yunara does a lot of AoE. Smolder can as well.
It's basically that. It's the Dream Engage, right?
Yeah.
If you don't see him and you clump up and you get hit by everything, you definitely can still die. You definitely can still get burst down. The front line, though, getting very tanky. Xin has that Guardian Angel, and you do have Castle, who is very close to his Zonias and still has that Seekers active. You have a shield bow for Callme. You have the experimental hex plate that's going to make you a little bit tankier on the Vayne, plus the barrier, plus the locket. So there's a lot of tools to not get one shot here, and it's going to be DSG looking to start these fights off. As Callme just goes over the wall for a little bit of a chunk and just snaps back as the CC was coming in.
Wanted to poke his head through, see what's over there. Oh, your whole team? Okay, I'm going to back up. It's fine. And even though this game is one-sided, these teams are still incredibly close. We know they've played each other 11 times this year. Current record is 5-5. If DSG closes this out, it moves to 6-5. They played each other in the playoffs. That was the difference between essentially the 3rd place finish and the 6th place finish, as they got knocked down to the lower bracket after that defeat. But if DSG wins that game, it's likely they would have been the 3rd seed if they win game 4 or 5 of that playoff series during lock-in. So really looking forward to seeing how these teams develop throughout the split, because when I'm looking at the power rankings, I do still see C9, Lion as those top teams, with probably TL based off of how dominant they are in scrims. But then I feel like everyone else can actually beat everyone else. So really looking forward to seeing those matchups throughout the rest of the split. Yeah,
me too. And honestly, even TL obviously looked very beatable in the regular season. Yes, they have a lot of talent. They have an incredible amount of talent on the team. Every pro player you talk to will still tell you, even while they are losing on stage, that this team should not be underestimated, that they could easily win the split, that they are really, really strong. But until you do it on stage, you kind of have to have a healthy amount of doubt. And Sentinels beat them during lock-in 2-1. Arguably 2-0, because the Guardian Aatrox game doesn't really count. It counts in the standings, but not in our hearts. Yep. Sentinels with some drafting troubles at times. Yes, they've had those. They did have the accidental Vayne, so it's funny that they're getting the Vayne coming through against them. That is clearly intentional
on purpose.
And clearly very effective. And now with that Baron buff, they're pushing 4 members top. The equalizers are going to get dropped just to try to push them back here. Mum comes out over the top and is going to chunk them down. Could look for potential engage as Lyonz is getting pretty low. Had to pop the Unbreakable. He's down about 30% HP, so likely has to reset.
Yeah, no ult does have his summoner heal, so he's hoping if he finds the right engage, but we know the only thing that can go wrong here is they lose a big team fight and give up all their bounties. I think they're just hoping to break these inhibitor turrets down so that with the Elder they can maybe finish.
TP coming back in here from Castle, who does have that Zonia's completed. Look at the damage on the HamBak. He is just getting cooked. And now on the side, you can see Callme pushing DARKWINGS back. It looks like that top lane inhibitor tower is pretty much guaranteed to fall on this wave. HamBak's going back to base to heal up, as is DARKWINGS. So they're going to have to give up the double inhibitor as Callme's coming in through that mid lane, looking to knock that one down as well. And will they go for the final engage here? KryRa goes forward with the Crescent Guard. Everyone on DARKWINGS this time is just running for the hills here. DARKWINGS incredibly low, does get back into the fountain. Sentinels were hurting there. They do survive, but it's double inhibit. It's the Nexus Tower's under fire.
KryRa has burned his ultimate, does have GA. They can't break any of the Nexus turrets, but I think mission accomplished here. Get the double inhib down, potentially reset, but if they can win the game with a re-engage, I'm sure they'd take it.
Like they will just back off, go for the recalls. TP coming back in here from Callme as he spends up his gold once again.
Yeah, right now, if they just start the Elder, the super minions as well as the Elder will sync up fairly well, so Sentinels needs to use this window to try and find a fight.
Oh, KryRa's fighting on the side, but could he be in trouble? Lyonz coming in for an engage over the top, but there, again, is the equalizer in the back line. HamBak does fall and is going to try to stand and fight. Callme going to the back line looking for more. He gets a kill in the middle of 4, woo! And now Sajed is unleashed. It is the final hour for Sentinels. DSG pushing down mid lane. KryRa fighting here against DARKWINGS, and he's going to win that fight as well. The Crescent Guard cuts him in half. He's a Dragon Slayer as DSG march on the Nexus, claim the game win, claim the series win, and take down Sentinels in a dominant game number 3.
Really great performance by DSG to close out the day. KryRa deathless, Castle deathless. They kind of won this game in 4 minutes, and then the next 26 minutes was putting the icing on that cake.